Welcome back, everyone, to our 9-month Ultimate World Cruise adventure. And today we are visiting one of our most anticipated sites, Machu Picchu.
Yes.
Or do we? Life really has other plans, and in this video, you'll really see how we have to shift, adjust, and go with the flow.
Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the fullest.
We're living that full life aboard Royal Caribbean's 9-month Ultimate World Cruise.
Yes, we are. And today our ship has arrived in Cusco, Peru. We're going to be taking one of Royal Caribbean's platinum included tours to Machu Picchu.
Right. It's really one of they included 7 of these World Wonder tours, and it's one of them that we have been really looking forward to. In fact, if you look back, we've already hit a couple of those. We hit Christ the Redeemer.
Right.
And we hit Chichen Itza. Yep. So we're working our way around these wonders of the world. And today they're working to take us to Machu Picchu. And that's the gateway to that, at least for our ship, is Cusco. So, and then how did we get there?
So we got up, and first thing in the morning, we went straight to the airport. And from there, we flew to Cusco.
That's right.
And it was a chartered flight that Royal Caribbean had arranged. So on the airport really only holds chartered flights or little tour flights, because they've got the Nazca lines that you can see if you take a special tour, which is kind of a cool thing. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see them, but we did fly over the Andes Mountains as we arrived in Cusco.
Yeah, really very beautiful scenery as we flew over and went to Cusco. Now, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Cusco. First of all, it's at over 11,000 feet, which is 3,400 meters for our international viewers.
It is high. So we did take our altitude medication that we had brought along, so we'd be prepared for that.
Right. We took it before we left for a couple days, and then we were taking it there. Fortunately for us, we've lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico before, which is at well over 5,000 feet. We've hiked the Sandia Mountains there, which are over 11,000 feet. We've lived at high altitude before, so even though we were probably being a little overly cautious, but
we didn't want anything
we just didn't want anything to run it. So, but once we got to Cusco to help people with the altitude, they gave us some tea.
And the tea had cocoa leaves and an herb called manzanilla that's really supposed to help with altitude sickness.
Right. And several people we talked to that were starting to feel the effects already said it really did help them. They also had this tea at our hotel, which we'll show you later. So it was always available to try to help with that. Now, let's talk a little bit about travel and altitude sickness. Really, this can impact anybody. Whereas if your level of fitness can help, I've seen people traveling to Albuquerque extremely physically fit, and it got severely impacted. Now, the symptoms are headache. That's usually one of the first, lethargic, being tired, and really nausea. And if you're having those symptoms, don't hold it to yourself. Make sure you let people know, because you can drink lots of water, take some Tylenol.
That helps.
Yeah, and see if it subsides. If it doesn't, really the only cure is to go back down to lower altitudes. And we did have a few people on our tours really get impacted by it.
We did.
Yeah, so just be aware, if you're going up to Machu Picchu, if you're going to go to these altitudes, they recommend a little more time, and that's where we did some acclimation there the first day in Cusco. So we just want to let you know about that altitude a little bit. But we went right into commando touring, and we landed on the plane, and they put us on some minibuses. Our tour group only had 9 people, which was very nice. And where did we head?
The first place we went to was a museum of Incan artifacts for lunch there. And that was an interesting place. They had kind of a hamster cage that we were in for lunch.
Yeah, it was right in the middle of the courtyard.
Beautiful glassed-in area that we had a lovely lunch. And then after lunch, we were able to tour through the museum and see some of the Incan artifacts.
I enjoyed that a lot. And honestly, it was really good. They did not have the lunch out in the courtyard because it poured rain.
And it hailed.
And it hailed too. So, we were very fortunate. We were in our little glass cage there, and I enjoyed the museum. And then after that,
they got us on a bus, and we went to Sacsayhuaman. If I
Uh-huh.
pronounce it right, sexy woman.
Just say sexy woman. That's how everybody says it. It's one of the Incan sites near Cusco.
Yeah, and that was very fascinating to see how the Incans had built their community
Hmm.
up, and to see the
Hmm.
various, oh, as they developed their architecture and how things improved, but also the various gods that they worshipped and how they
Hmm.
incorporated that into their architecture. It was very
Yeah. Yeah, of
fascinating.
course, this is our first glimpse now of seeing the Incan architecture where you see these massive 30-ton stones laid into place. Of course, no mortar, just all cut and laid in.
Crazy how
Uh,
they could do that.
That's right. Yeah, there was one spot where there was I think they said it was a 30-meter, so like 100-foot tower, and you can see the foundations of that tower here. Now, Sacsayhuaman, once the Spaniards came and conquered the Incans, of course, then that site was abandoned, and then what they actually did is start taking the stones away to build houses, buildings, churches, whatever, in Cusco. So that's where most of the structures and buildings went, is now they're part of those buildings that we'll be touring later in Cusco. So, but we had a great time there. Again, there was some climbing involved. So right when you land here, and in fact, Sacsayhuaman is at a over 12,000 feet high.
Even higher.
Yeah, so you just need to take your time, especially if you just gotten to Cusco. Certainly running up the hill, I could feel it a little bit. Had to make sure to take a few deep breaths, but I was surprised how quickly we did adjust to the
We
altitude.
did
So
very, very quickly.
yeah.
But when you take a look at some of the walls here too, take a look, you'll see the puma paw
Uh-huh.
print here in one of the walls. And so
Mhm.
I just found that to be fascinating,
Mhm.
how they were just that they were that sophisticated
Mhm.
to
Cut the
put this
stone
all
that way,
together.
yeah. But there
Yes.
were different, there was snakes, llamas into the stonework.
Mhm.
Yeah, we enjoyed that a lot. We
Mhm.
really did. And there was even some llamas wandering around the property there as
Yes, there were.
we were touring. So no, that was a lot of fun.
The next place that we were taken to was the Triumph Cathedral, which was downtown. And
Hmm.
even though it is an active Catholic cathedral, although it really is almost more like a museum,
Hmm.
there is so much artwork. It is unbelievable. I mean, we've been
Hmm.
to a lot of churches. I've never seen a church more ornate and more artwork than this church. And it
Right.
was actually three churches that were three cathedrals that were
Hmm.
put together.
Hmm. And one thing, you're seeing us talk, but you're not seeing the pictures. You saw some
Yeah.
pictures of the outside. They asked no photo, no video, and of course we respect that. This is where having a great guide comes. Just really shows how wonderful it is. He went through and did a great job interpreting the artwork, telling
Mhm.
us why each painting was there, which mayor, bishop, priest, citizen commissioned the artwork to be given
Mhm.
to the cathedral. It also showed some great examples of how the Christian faith has incorporated itself and brought in local customs and traditions.
That's
So,
right.
like, they had a massive portrait of the Last Supper in there, and they have Jesus and the apostles eating guinea pig and eating the local bread, and so
Um,
it was interesting. Yeah,
they do eat guinea pig here, although
yeah.
we didn't try.
We didn't get to try
We
it.
didn't
Yeah.
have an opportunity to
Yeah.
try it.
Yeah. We
So
kept asking
yeah,
Royal Caribbean at all these meals they were providing, hey, are we going to get some guinea pig? And they never did. So, and yeah,
probably just as well.
just the, call, but the cathedral was just breathtaking. And
Yeah.
I mean, the main altar of the cathedral itself has over 1 ton of silver, because silver mining obviously is large here in this area of the world. Yeah, just stunning. So, that is definitely worth a stop.
Following the cathedral, our bus then took us to our hotel. And now, since the world cruise is such a large group, we were actually divided up into three different hotels. Ours happened to be the JW Marriott, which
Hmm.
was really a very nice
Very
hotel.
nice. Yeah.
You then got to watch the Chiefs game,
That's
or at least
right.
the last few minutes of
Yeah, by
it.
the time we were on our tours, I got to see the last 2 to 3 minutes, and so yes, this is probably a good time if you're a Chiefs fan or a Ravens fan or a football fan.
Or a Taylor Swift fan.
to hit that subscribe button on our channel. We really do appreciate you subscribing to
Thank
our
you, friends.
9-month Ultimate
Yeah.
World Cruise Adventure. And also, if you're finding these videos enjoyable, hit that like button. It lets YouTube know that it should share it with other people as well. So, yep, I got to watch the last few minutes of the Chiefs game there in Spanish in Peru.
Yes.
And then you took a little rest, and I went out for a walk. I had heard that near our hotel, in fact, right across the street from our hotel, you can see here, it was the Museum of Pisco. And so I got to go and have a Pisco sour, and it actually was
really good.
It's quite excellent. The bar was fantastic. I'd recommended a few other people on our tour go and try it out, and they agreed. Had some very nice cocktails there. Well, I came back to the hotel room, got Nancy, collected her up, and we had some place to be.
Yes. Royal Caribbean had another gala for us that was at an old convent.
Yeah, they did a spectacular job. First, they had a cultural show where they had some tradition Incan dancing, and that was quite fascinating to see. And then they provided dinner for us. And then this is where they dropped the proverbial bomb on us. Right. We kind of knew it was coming. As any of you that may have been following the news may have understood that there were some strikes going on in Peru, specifically strikes on the train system and the people working around Machu Picchu. And they had gone on strike a couple days before we left. There was a lot of hope they were going to resolve the strikes and we would be able to go the next day. But unfortunately, life intervenes and that didn't happen. So Royal Caribbean actually sent Paul Logerin, who's their head of all shore excursions for Royal Caribbean. He flew all the way to Cusco, Peru to talk to us to say, listen, we're really sorry. We wanted to make this happen. We've done everything possible, but Machu Picchu's just closed at this time and we're not going to be able to bring you up there. Now, while we were disappointed, he also announced that they were going to shift our itinerary the next day and give us some great adventures and experiences the next day, and that we would all meet at the hotel.
Boy, did they deliver.
They did.
Yes.
They did. We're going to show you that instead of going to Machu Picchu, we had some other amazing experiences, and they put this all together in 24 hours to adjust, which
absolutely,
we got to tip our hat to Royal Caribbean. It was really quite amazing.
Not just to them, but to all of those who were providing food for us, entertainment for us, all of that came about within a 24-hour period.
Right.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, the restaurant we're going to show you here in a little bit, as Nancy said, they had 24 hours notice to get all that food together and to handle all those people that were going to be showing up. And no, we really thank everyone involved with the redirection of our touring, and really appreciate all the efforts that went into it. So, well, let's tell you what happened. We headed back to our hotel, got some rest because we had to be in the lobby at 7 a.m. in the morning, and they got us back on our buses. And well, this time we were only 7 people. So we're playing Survivor Cusco. We had a couple people who the altitude was really getting to, and so they decided to beg off that day and to rest. And we headed out with 7 of us to go tour the wonderful areas around Cusco.
Right, with the Sacred Valley.
That's right. So the Sacred Valley is actually where we would have caught the train to go to Machu Picchu. And we headed out from there. But before we headed to the Sacred Valley, we toured the Temple of the Sun in Cusco.
We did. So this was a fascinating place to see. We could see the walls. The walls were still standing. And this was really unique because they've had some major earthquakes that have happened there. And these earthquakes have taken down a lot of buildings. But yet these old Incan walls are still standing, and if you look, you can see they're almost built like an erector set or like a Lego set, how the blocks fit together. And
yeah, they use kind of a tongue and groove technique. They also use a pinning technique, plugs and pins that are all carved into the stone, and and the artistry and masterwork of their masons and stoneworkers was just quite amazing. And so later this site was turned into a convent, a Dominican convent, and so you can see this interesting mix where they left all the Incan walls up and blended it all into the convent, but now it's a museum that you can walk around and see everything, and you can see a picture here or a model of what it looked like in Inca days. And we got to tour all over. Now, I think one of the interesting things is they have a painting.
That was fascinating.
That was an Incan painting that showed the different lines coming out of Cusco.
Actually, a map. this
Yes.
painting. You wouldn't think so, but
Hmm.
it's actually a map,
Hmm.
and it shows the places to worship, or for the Incans to worship
Right.
at.
And you notice the colors. If you remember the video we just showed you of the cultural dancing that we had at the gala, and the characters in there exactly match the characters in this painting. So
Which
it
also
all comes
represented
together.
the various gods
Yeah.
that they would worship.
Right. So we thought that was just very fascinating how that all comes together. We walked some streets here. We looked at the outside of the temple. It was all quite, again, the artistry and mason work and stonework that the Incans did was quite spectacular. But then we reboarded our bus and headed, as you said earlier, to the Sacred Valley. That's about a 2-hour drive. So if we would have went to Machu Picchu, we still would have had to drive this same 2 hours to the Sacred Valley
Station.
and then get on a train and take a train 2 more hours to Machu Picchu. So remember, when you're in Cusco, if you're visiting, it's 4 to 5 hours to get to Machu Picchu. It's an all-day event to get there.
Well, and we were there during the rainy season, which is why we'd have to take a bus 2 hours to get to the train station. Had we been there during the dry season, we could have caught a train in Cusco to take us all the way, but rainy season can cause rock slides, things like that. So
on the train track.
on the train, exactly.
That would have been our path. But they went ahead and took us to the Sacred Valley, which our guide happens to be from the Sacred Valley.
Gosh, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, we had some overlooks there. In fact, we stopped for a little bathroom break at a little restaurant and bar, and they invited us in, let us look over their terrace to see the Sacred Valley, and they even had us play a couple of Peruvian bar games.
It's a little game where you tried to throw the tokens, little coins, into the frog's mouth, and there were holes in the box that had points if you got it in the hole, and you pull the drawer open and it tells how many points. But the loser has to buy all the meals. So,
that's right.
So you want to make sure you win.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. Little glimpse into Peruvian bar life and culture. After we left the little bar restaurant, we headed all the way to the end of the Sacred Valley to Ollantaytambo, which was absolutely amazing.
Right. In fact, we kind of nicknamed it Mini Pichu, not Machu Picchu, but
Mini Pichu. That's right. I shall call you Mini Pichu.
And our guide said he really likes this. I mean, he's not saying don't go to Machu Picchu, but he really likes it because you get to almost interact more with all of the ruins that are there. It's very complete. So it was a neat visit.
Right.
What we got to see seemed like it was at the height of Incan technology at the time, but we got to climb all the way up to the top on some of the ruins, and just fascinating how the Incans really tried to incorporate and to work with nature, and how they built their buildings on the sides of the mountains, and
where you can see where they stored their grain. It's all the way across to another mountain, and you can see pictures here where they carved the face into the side of the mountain, and then you have your grain there, and
unbelievable.
Yeah, and in fact, once you get to the top, you could notice some of the stones are different colors. They actually took those stones from a quarry all the way on the other side of the valley, and you can see here the rift or the cuts in the valley. They had to bring it down from there, across the river, over the valley, up a ramp, and all the way to the top where we were at.
It's a heck of a lot of work.
It was amazing. One of the major differences here of Ollantaytambo that is different from Machu Picchu is the city at the base that you can see here of the site has been built on top of with buildings, and so whereas Machu Picchu is more preserved. In fact, I specifically asked our guide, tell us the differences. This is what we're seeing here. What would we see in Machu Picchu? He said that the first and major difference is the setting. Machu Picchu's in a valley, and it's surrounded by snow-capped mountains, and he said the beauty of that setting is unmatched. And he said the other is Machu Picchu was more, you could see all the different components laid out of Machu Picchu of the city, whereas, as I mentioned here at Tambo, it's the city is built on top of the ruins in some parts of it, so it's not as, I guess you'd say, not as original or complete. But this was, I asked him what this was. He said it was probably, well, It was a fortress, and there's a whole story behind it. We won't go into all that, but certainly do your research and look at it. As an Incan king made this as a fortress and fought off the Spanish. And there's many stories about, an Incan prince who loved another, princess. And there's a whole, Princess Bride thing going on here too. But we enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yes, I mean, not having ever been to Machu Picchu, so other than seeing pictures of it, not knowing really what we missed, I thought this was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was just delighted with everything that we saw here.
Yeah. So as a backup plan, thank you very much, Royal. You did great getting us there. Well, after we left Alente Tambo, we went and had a lunch, which was a little buffet lunch. But the real interesting thing was right next to the restaurant, they did a horse show for us.
Right, that was very cool. So they had Peruvian horses that could dance, or they did their little trot like dance that was very sweet. It was the men came out, and the horses would just almost dance around in a circle. They also had a couple of actual dancers that came out and did a dance, and then they danced with the horses. So that was a nice show.
It was really nice. I enjoyed it a lot, and I actually thought especially when the female dancer came out and danced with the horses, it was just spectacular. It was really neat to see. So we enjoyed that. And again, remember, Royal set this up in 24 hours. Once Machu Picchu, and again, we just can't thank everyone, enough that shifted and pivoted when we couldn't go to Machu Picchu to put this all together. After the horse show, we got back on the buses and we started heading back to Cusco. Now, one thing to know as you're transiting between Cusco and the Sacred Valley, you have to go up over the mountain range, which could take you as high as over 13,000 feet. So again, if you're sensitive to altitude sickness, this is something you're going to have to keep in mind.
But the views are spectacular.
They really are, that whole drive. And we stopped and got a couple more pictures of the Sacred Valley. And no, it was very, very nice. And well, we made it back to Cusco. They provided a little dinner for us. And we decided just to walk the town and go shopping because you were looking for something in particular.
I'd been seeing in the store windows these alpaca hats that I thought looked very nice and warm and stylish, and I thought, I'll be styling back in Michigan
when winter comes.
We get there, when winter comes.
We'll be going back to Michigan right as winter's going to start. So
warm.
That's right. Well, and you look beautiful in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. Alpaca's your color.
Thank you.
So she got her alpaca hat, and then we had to get some rest that night because we had to get up very early in the morning because they were getting us on a plane to take us back to Lima. Our ship had actually moved from Cusco, Peru up to Lima, Peru, and it was waiting there for us. And Royal Caribbean actually added a day, and the ship is staying an extra day in Lima, and one of the reasons is, well, I guess you're going to have to wait for the next video to see that. It's we've got a surprise tour that's been added to our itinerary that we were not going to have. And so take a look at the next video that we're going to put up here on Lima, Peru. And we hope you've enjoyed this glimpse into Cusco, the Incan culture, to Tambo, to everything that we saw here. And unfortunately, we didn't get to show you Machu Picchu, but that gives us a great excuse.
For another time.
Well, I guess this is maybe a silly point to ask at this time, but so would you go back to Cusco? We always ask that question.
Yes, I would. I really enjoyed Cusco. I thought it was beautiful, and I feel like there's a lot of things there to see that we didn't get to see, and I was really impressed. But also just the beauty of the whole area that we were in.
These mountains, and
I look forward to going back and visiting Machu Picchu in the future.
Yeah, no question. We will go back. We will make it up to Machu Picchu, and hopefully there won't be a strike that time. So, well, once again, friends, thank you very much for tuning in. Watch for our next video on a special excursion and a special event that we have in Lima, Peru. And we thank you for watching.
Have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.